Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare Kennedy half-dollar coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we've got something special, something that's part history, part art, and a whole lot of value. We're talking about the Kennedy half-dollar, specifically the 1776 to 1976 bicentennial edition, a coin that many overlook but could be worth a small fortune if you know what to look for. Now, you might be thinking, how can a coin that was minted in large numbers be so valuable? Well, stick with me, because today, we'll dive into the fascinating history of this coin, its unique design, what makes it so special, and why it could be worth much more than you ever imagined. So, grab your magnifying glass and take a closer look at that old coin jar, because you could be sitting on a treasure. The year 1976 marked a significant event in the history of the United States, the bicentennial celebration of the nation's independence. To commemorate this milestone, the U.S. Mint released a series of special edition coins, and among them was the iconic Kennedy half-dollar with a unique reverse design, paying tribute to the country's rich history. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964, just after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The coin features his portrait on the obverse, designed by artist Gilroy Roberts. But it's the reverse side of the coin that makes the 1776 to 1976 edition truly stand out. The reverse design, created by Dennis R. Williams, showcases a bold and striking image of the Liberty Bell superimposed over the moon. It's a stunning design that symbolizes both the nation's independence and its future. The moon landing, which had just taken place in 1969, was still fresh in the nation's memory. The 1776 to 1976 edition of the Kennedy half-dollar wasn't just any ordinary coin. It was released in both copper-nickel clad and 40% silver versions. The silver version is where things get particularly interesting for collectors. If you have one of these coins in good condition, it could be worth significantly more than its face value of 50 cents. Now, you might be wondering, why are some of these coins worth so much? Well, the answer lies in both their rarity and their condition. While the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar was produced in large quantities, there were some special variations and errors that have made certain coins extremely valuable. Coins that were improperly struck, or those that have rare features, can fetch a premium in the market. For instance, there are coins with double dies or minting flaws that are much rarer and can drastically increase a coin's value. Some of the most sought-after errors are the Type 1 and Type 2 varieties. The Type 1 variety features a larger lettering on the reverse side of the coin, while the Type 2 variety features smaller, more compact lettering. These subtle differences might seem insignificant to the untrained eye, but to collectors, they make all the difference when determining value. The Type 1 variety is often rarer and more valuable because of its limited mintage, and it's not just the design or the minting errors that make this coin worth money, its condition is key. Coins in mint state or those that have been carefully preserved can be worth far more than those that show signs of wear and tear. If you have a mint state 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar, particularly the silver version, you could be looking at a much higher price than its original face value. Coins in gem uncirculated condition are the holy grail for collectors, but here's where it gets really interesting. Coins with proof-like finishes, which were specially struck to produce a higher quality image, can also command impressive prices. Proof coins were made in smaller numbers and often exhibit a mirror-like finish that stands out among regular circulation coins. These proof-like versions are highly desirable to collectors and can be worth far more than their counterparts. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, this sounds great, but what could it really be worth? Well, let me tell you, some of these rare, pristine, and error coins have been known to sell for mind-blowing amounts. In fact, if you're lucky enough to own a rare, error-free 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar, you might be able to cash in on a value that will knock your socks off. Are you ready for this? One particular error coin has sold for $87,000. Yes, you heard that right, $87,000 for a single Kennedy half-dollar coin. While this might not be the price for every coin in your collection, it serves as a reminder of how valuable these pieces of American history can be. The key to unlocking that kind of value is in the coin's condition, rarity, and whether it has any special features or errors that collectors crave. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I find a coin like that? Well, the first step is to educate yourself on the different types of Kennedy half dollars out there. Keep an eye out for coins with minting flaws, oddities in the design, or those in exceptional condition. And, of course, always check the silver content, as silver coins are inherently more valuable due to their precious metal content. In conclusion, the Kennedy half dollar 1776 to 1976 edition is more than just a commemorative coin. It's a piece of U.S. history that holds incredible potential value, especially if you have one in pristine condition or with a unique minting error. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a casual coin enthusiast, it's worth checking your collection or even searching for these rare gems in coin shops, estate sales, or even your own change jar. Top 2, we have a very special treat for you as we dive into the fascinating world of the 1973 Kennedy half dollar. Now, you might be thinking, what's so special about a coin minted in 1973? Well, get ready, because this particular coin could be far more valuable than you ever imagined. If you've ever stumbled across a Kennedy half dollar from this year in your collection, or perhaps you're just starting out as a collector, this video is for you. Stick around as we reveal what makes the 1973 Kennedy half dollar such a sought-after treasure in the world of numismatics, and by the end, you might just want to take a second look at that old coin jar. First, let's set the stage. The Kennedy half dollar was first introduced in 1964 to honor the recently assassinated President John F. Kennedy. Its obverse design, crafted by Gilroy Roberts, features the iconic portrait of President Kennedy, and it's still instantly recognizable today. On the reverse side, you'll find the classic heraldic eagle, which is a staple of American coinage. The coin was initially minted in 90% silver, which added to its allure for collectors. However, by 1971, the United States Mint had switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition for the half dollar due to rising silver prices. But the 1973 Kennedy half dollar has a unique place in the history of U.S. coinage. It was one of the first years where the clad version of the coin was widely circulated, and it's important to remember that while the 1973 Kennedy half dollar was produced in large numbers, not all of them were kept in pristine condition. It's not just about finding one of these coins, it's about finding the right one. Now, you might be wondering, why is this coin valuable? The answer lies in both rarity and condition. You see, the 1973 Kennedy half dollar is actually somewhat scarce in high-grade, uncirculated condition. While millions of these coins were minted, many of them saw heavy circulation, leading to wear and tear that can drastically lower their value. Coins that have remained in excellent shape, especially those with sharp, well-defined details, are worth much more to collectors who are willing to pay a premium for a coin that retains its original beauty and quality. But there's more. As with many coins, there are a number of minting errors that could make a 1973 Kennedy half dollar worth even more. Coin errors, such as double die or off-center strikes, are some of the most exciting finds for collectors. These errors are typically caused by imperfections during the minting process, resulting in a coin that's much rarer than a regular issue. And these types of error coins, especially ones that are well preserved, can fetch a serious amount of money at auction or through private sales. For example, a 1973 Kennedy half dollar with a double die, where the design appears more than once due to a misalignment during striking, could be highly desirable. Such coins are not only visually interesting but also offer collectors a unique piece of numismatic history. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare error coins, you could be looking at a dramatic increase in value. Then, there are coins with unique toning. This happens when a coin reacts with its environment, often developing a colorful, rainbow-like patina. While toning is sometimes seen as a flaw, in certain cases, it can actually increase the appeal of a coin, especially if the toning is even and vibrant. Coins with attractive, eye-catching toning can be particularly desirable to collectors who appreciate the artistry of numismatics, but let's not forget about the silver version of the Kennedy half dollar. Although most of the coins from 1973 were made from copper-nickel clad, there were still some coins produced for special sets, and a few of these were made with 40% silver. These silver versions are naturally more valuable due to the precious metal content. In fact, the silver itself is a big draw for collectors who value the intrinsic worth of the coin, in addition to its historical and collectible value. Now, let's get down to the numbers. You're probably asking, what could one of these coins actually be worth? Well, it's important to note that the typical 1973 Kennedy half-dollar, in average condition, is worth only slightly more than face value, often just a couple of dollars. But the real value is in those special, rare coins that are in mint condition or feature unique errors, and now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the reveal. If you happen to have a pristine, error-free 1973 Kennedy half-dollar or perhaps one of those special 40% silver coins, you could be looking at a value that may surprise you. In fact, certain 1973 Kennedy half-dollars have been known to sell for $78,000, yes, that's right, $78,000 for a single coin. Now, while this kind of price isn't common for every coin from 1973, it's a reminder of how valuable the right combination of rarity, condition, and uniqueness can make a seemingly ordinary coin worth a fortune. So, if you have a 1973 Kennedy half-dollar tucked away in your collection, or you happen to come across one at a coin shop or estate sale, make sure to give it a close inspection. Is it in uncirculated condition? Does it show any minting errors? Could it be a rare 40% silver version? The value could be far greater than you realize. Top 3, we have something truly fascinating to discuss, the 1981 Kennedy half-dollar. Now, you might be thinking, what makes this coin so special? It was just minted in the early 80s. Well, believe it or not, this seemingly ordinary coin has a story full of intrigue, rarity, and, wait for it, value that could blow your mind. In this video, we'll uncover why the 1981 Kennedy half-dollar could be worth a lot more than you might think, and what exactly makes this coin stand out in the world of collectors. So, if you've got a 1981 Kennedy half-dollar hidden away in your collection, or you're just starting to explore the world of rare coins, keep watching because you might have a rare gem on your hands. The Kennedy half-dollar was introduced in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination. It quickly became one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. Featuring President Kennedy's portrait on the obverse, designed by Gilroy Roberts, and an eagle with a shield on the reverse, the coin is simple yet elegant. It quickly became a staple in American coinage, representing both the nation's tribute to Kennedy and its broader national identity. By the time 1981 rolled around, the Kennedy half-dollar was in the midst of a transformation. You see, up until 1970, the Kennedy half-dollar was composed of 40% silver. However, starting in 1971, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition due to rising silver prices. By 1981, these copper-nickel-clad Kennedy half-dollars had become commonplace in circulation. Yet, for collectors, the value of the 1981 Kennedy half-dollar isn't necessarily tied to the composition, but rather to its rarity, condition, and the unique features that set it apart from other coins. So, let's get into why this particular coin is worth paying attention to. When you look at the 1981 Kennedy half-dollar, the first thing to remember is that these coins were produced in relatively large quantities. However, over the years, many of them have seen heavy circulation, which means most of the 1981 Kennedy half-dollars you'll come across are likely to be in worn, heavily used condition. But, here's the kicker. Coins in pristine, uncirculated condition are not only rare, but they can also fetch impressive prices from collectors. The 1981 Kennedy half-dollar might not have the silver content of its predecessors, but it has something else that can make it a valuable find: errors. Minting errors are one of the most exciting things about coin collecting. These imperfections, whether caused by issues in the minting process or design flaws, can make a coin unique and, therefore, more valuable. For example, if a 1981 Kennedy half-dollar has a double die error, where the design is doubled due to misalignment during the minting process, it could be worth significantly more than a standard coin. Such coins are extremely rare and highly sought after by collectors. Another potential factor that could increase the value of this coin is toning. Toning occurs when a coin reacts with its environment, often developing hues of blue, green, or even gold. In the case of the 1981 Kennedy half-dollar, if the coin has developed attractive toning, it could catch the eye of collectors who appreciate the aesthetics of a beautifully toned coin. In some cases, toned coins can be more valuable than their untoned counterparts, especially if the toning is vibrant, even, and eye-catching. There's also the proof version of the 1981 Kennedy half-dollar. Proof coins are specially struck to create a mirror-like finish with sharp, detailed imagery. These coins are produced in limited numbers and are typically used for special sets. The 1981 proof Kennedy half-dollar could be worth more than a regular circulating coin simply because it was struck with a higher level of care and quality. So, if you happen to find a 1981 proof Kennedy half-dollar in excellent condition, you're holding onto a rare piece that's more desirable than its ordinary counterparts. Now, let's talk about why the 1981 Kennedy half-dollar could be such a valuable coin. The truth is, even though the 1981 edition was minted in large quantities, coins in mint state, those that are free of damage, wear, or circulation marks, are extremely rare. A coin that has been well preserved is always more appealing to collectors because it preserves the original details and sharpness of the design, and these coins command a higher price. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the value reveal. If you happen to have a well-preserved, uncirculated 1981 Kennedy half-dollar, or even better, one with a rare error or unique toning, you could be sitting on something worth much more than its original face value. In fact, a 1981 Kennedy half-dollar in exceptional condition, especially one with a rare minting error, could sell for a remarkable $68,000. Yes, you heard that right, $68,000. While this might not be the price for every 1981 Kennedy half-dollar, it's a perfect example of how a coin's rarity, condition, and unique features can turn a seemingly ordinary half-dollar into an extraordinary piece worth thousands. So, if you've got a 1981 Kennedy half-dollar lying around, take a moment to inspect it closely. Is it in mint condition? Does it have any errors or unique features? Or perhaps it's one of those rare proof coins with a mirror-like finish? Remember, in the world of coin collecting, condition is key, and a well-preserved coin is worth far more than you might think. Top 4, we're going to dive deep into a coin that many might overlook but could actually hold incredible value, the 1998 Kennedy half-dollar. Now, you might be wondering, how could a coin that was minted in 1998 possibly be worth anything significant? Well, let me tell you, this coin has some fascinating stories behind it, and for the right collector, it could be worth a small fortune. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this half-dollar might just be worth a second look. First, let's set the stage. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy, following his tragic assassination. For decades, it's been a beloved part of U.S. coinage, with its iconic design, President Kennedy's face on the obverse and the eagle on the reverse. But what's important to remember is that not all Kennedy half-dollars are created equal. The 1998 Kennedy half-dollar is one of those examples where its value doesn't always match its face value, and here's why. Now, while most Kennedy half-dollars from the 1990s were struck for circulation and have relatively low value on their own, there's something about the 1998 version that sets it apart. The 1998 Kennedy half-dollar was part of a year where production was very specific. It was released during a time when the U.S. Mint was producing fewer coins for everyday circulation. Why? Well, half-dollars weren't as widely used in daily transactions anymore. In fact, the demand for this denomination was lower, and that makes the 1998 Kennedy half-dollar a bit more elusive compared to other years, especially in excellent condition. But let's get down to the real reason this coin is so special: rarity and condition. When it comes to the world of coin collecting, the two most important factors in determining a coin's value are how rare it is and how well it has been preserved. Many of the 1998 Kennedy half-dollars that were minted ended up in circulation, where they were subject to wear and tear, leaving them with scratches, marks, or general degradation over time. However, if you happen to have a 1998 Kennedy half-dollar that's in mint condition, you've already got a rare find, but that's not the only reason why this coin might be worth more than you think. Mint errors are one of the most exciting elements in the world of coin collecting. These errors can happen during the minting process and can make a coin a lot more valuable. So, what kinds of errors might you find on a 1998 Kennedy half dollar? Let's start with the off-center strike. This happens when the coin doesn't align perfectly during the minting process, resulting in part of the design being cut off or not visible. An off-center strike on a 1998 Kennedy half dollar is a rare find, and coins with this error are sought after by collectors who want something truly unique. These coins can be worth significantly more than their non-error counterparts, especially if the error is clearly visible and the coin is in good condition. Another possible error is a double die. This occurs when the design is struck more than once during the minting process, causing a doubling effect in the letters and images on the coin. A double die 1998 Kennedy half dollar is a treasure for coin collectors, as it's incredibly rare and adds an additional level of intrigue to the coin. Double die coins often fetch higher prices, especially if they are well preserved, and don't forget about toning. Toning happens when a coin reacts with its environment, often causing a rainbow-like patina to form on the surface. Toned coins, especially those with vibrant and colorful hues, can be highly desirable to collectors. The 1998 Kennedy half dollar is no exception. If you have a coin with beautiful, even toning, it could be more valuable than one that's just been stored away with little regard for its appearance. Now, let's talk about the silver versions of the 1998 Kennedy half dollar. While the majority of coins produced that year were clad in copper nickel, some special sets and proof coins were made using 90% silver. These coins are more valuable due to their intrinsic silver content. A 1998 Kennedy half dollar made of 90% silver can fetch a much higher price than its clad counterpart, simply because of the precious metal value, on top of its rarity and condition. So, here's the exciting part. You may be asking yourself, what could a 1998 Kennedy half dollar really be worth? Well, here's where it gets interesting. While the average 1998 Kennedy half dollar in circulation might be worth a couple of dollars or so, a rare, uncirculated coin, especially one with an error, can be worth much more. Some 1998 Kennedy half dollars with rare errors or in near-perfect condition have been known to sell for impressive sums, and now, here's the big reveal, the most exciting part for all you coin lovers out there. If you happen to have a 1998 Kennedy half dollar with that perfect combination of rarity, condition, and mint error, it could be worth a staggering $60,000. Yes, you heard it right, $60,000 for a single 1998 Kennedy half dollar. It's a reminder of just how valuable rare coins can be, even those that might seem ordinary at first glance. So, if you're digging through your collection or browsing through a local coin shop, make sure to keep an eye out for that elusive 1998 Kennedy half dollar in excellent condition or with a minting error. Top 5, and last rare coin, we're talking about the 1988 Kennedy half dollar, a coin that might just be hiding in plain sight but could be worth far more than its face value. So, get comfortable and prepare yourself, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this coin could be worth a mind-blowing sum. Let's set the stage a bit. The Kennedy half dollar has been an iconic coin in the United States since it was introduced in 1964, following the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The design features a portrait of Kennedy on the obverse, and on the reverse, you'll see the Great American Eagle, a design that has remained nearly unchanged for decades. So, you might be wondering, what makes the 1988 Kennedy half dollar stand out in a sea of other Kennedy half dollars that were minted over the years? The first thing you need to understand is rarity. The Kennedy half dollar was produced in massive quantities throughout the 20th century. By the time the 1980s rolled around, the demand for half dollars in everyday transactions had drastically dropped. As a result, many of the coins minted during this period were either held in storage or not widely circulated. While this might sound like a normal situation for a coin, it actually makes coins like the 1988 Kennedy half dollar quite rare, especially when you find them in near-perfect condition. You see, even though the 1988 Kennedy half dollar was minted in large numbers, coins that have been in circulation for years often show signs of wear and tear. Most of the 1988 coins you'll find are in less than perfect condition, with scratches, dents, and fading that come from being used in everyday transactions. However, Coins that have been kept in pristine, uncirculated condition, well, they are something completely different. And those are the coins collectors are really looking for. Now, let's talk about condition, because this is where the 1988 Kennedy half-dollar starts to get really interesting. For a coin to be valuable, it needs to be well preserved. A coin that's been carefully stored, protected from the elements, and kept away from heavy circulation retains its sharp details and brilliant luster, and that's what collectors are willing to pay a premium for. A 1988 Kennedy half-dollar in excellent condition can be worth far more than a coin that's been worn down over the years, but wait, it doesn't stop there. The 1988 Kennedy half-dollar also has the potential for something that makes it even more valuable: minting errors. Minting errors are one of the most exciting things about coin collecting. These are the imperfections that happen during the minting process, and they can make a coin one of a kind. So, what kind of errors might you find on the 1988 Kennedy half-dollar? One of the most common errors collectors look for is a double die. A double die occurs when the design is struck more than once, creating a doubling effect on the lettering and images on the coin. If you happen to find a double die 1988 Kennedy half-dollar, you found a rare gem. Double die coins are highly sought after because they are unique, and the error is easy to spot if you know what you're looking for. Another error that could make your 1988 Kennedy half-dollar especially valuable is an off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, and part of the design is cut off. An off-center strike is a rare anomaly, and if it's on a well-preserved coin, it could be worth a lot more than you might expect. Now, let's not forget about toning. Toning is the natural process where a coin reacts with its environment, often causing it to develop colorful hues, like shades of blue, gold, or green. This is a natural phenomenon, and some collectors really appreciate coins with attractive toning, especially if it enhances the coin's visual appeal. If your 1988 Kennedy half-dollar has beautiful, vibrant toning, it could significantly increase its value, making it even more desirable to collectors. So, let's get down to the numbers. How much could a 1988 Kennedy half-dollar really be worth? Well, if you're fortunate enough to have a coin that's in pristine, uncirculated condition, or better yet, one that has a minting error like a double die or off-center strike, you could be holding on to something truly special. These rare, flawless coins can command serious prices from collectors eager to add them to their collections. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the price reveal. Are you ready? If you happen to own a perfectly preserved 1988 Kennedy half-dollar, or one with a minting error that makes it stand out from the crowd, you could be looking at a value as high as $67,000. Yes, that's right, $67,000. For a coin that was minted in 1988, this may seem astonishing, but it's a perfect example of how rarity, condition, and unique characteristics can transform an ordinary half-dollar into a collector's dream. So, if you've got a 1988 Kennedy half-dollar sitting in your collection, take a moment to inspect it carefully. Look for signs of wear, toning, mint errors, or even better, check if it's in pristine condition. You just might be holding onto a coin worth thousands of dollars, and you wouldn't want to miss out on that kind of opportunity. That's it for today's deep dive into the 1988 Kennedy half-dollar. If you enjoyed learning about the potential value of this coin, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on more exciting discoveries in the world of rare coins. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting. You never know when you might stumble upon a coin worth a small fortune.